So here today I'm with John Keenliside, and we're at his railroad. It's kind of unique. We're down in southern Ontario, and we're in a building that's behind the house. Separate building. It's got a nice fireplace in the corner to keep you warm in the wintertime.
It's got two wood stoves actually. One here and one in the shop.
Yeah. And this is your little hub of the world for running trains.
This building was built by the previous owner of the house. He built it all out of reclaimed lumber.
Yep.
And when he built it, it was a Muskoka room. But when I got here, I started working out to be my layout room.
So what is the size of it roughly, John?
The layout itself is about 15 by 15, and there's an extra 3 feet here. So.
Okay. And what was the concept in terms of your structure in building it? What were you going to do in order to make it an operational railroad?
This is representing the Grimsby Sub in this part of the world, with Grimsby being the central focal point. Dave Cremo, a friend of mine from Ottawa, scratch-built the Grimsby station. Okay. The rest of it we've tried to recreate or approximate the buildings that were actually here in Grimsby in about late 1950s.
So we're in Grimsby, Ontario, and you're modeling Grimsby.
Exactly.
That's kind of fun.
Right. So we've got grape vineyards, we've got apple orchards, we've got the icing platform that existed in Grimsby, although at the time it was one of the largest in the world. This is a very small replica. We've got basket factories for shipping the grapes. We've got a fruit loading platform in Grimsby, which is where it was at the time, in fact. And the trains will travel from basically Hamilton through Grimsby, through Vineland and Jordan, on their way to St. Catharines. And on the layout, the end of it will be a place called Meritan, which was a suburb of St. Catharines.
So your design is basically point to point, and you've got trains that leave from one end and terminate in another, and you have through trains.
I do. I've got passenger trains. One of the big passenger trains here at that time was the Fort Erie race train, which came out of Toronto on a daily basis. So up on the shelf where my storage area is, it's basically Fort Erie for trains coming from the east, or it's Toronto for trains that have gone to the west. Okay, well let's go and have a look at your railroad step by step. We'll start at one end of the point to point and then shift around, and you can show me what you've done. Here we are at one of the starting points of the point to point layout. It's town of Meritan. And I see that you're using an NCE DCC system. I am. So you said that earlier that this was a starting point to. So when you stage trains, do you do that with a switcher, or is it something you set up? I use switchers. There's one small. Well, that's a TH&B switcher there, but I've got a CN switcher behind you, and so I set up the trains here, and they will leave from Meritan, travel back through Vineland, back through Grimsby on their way back to Hamilton.
Okay, so this is what you would call probably a visible staging area that you can operate.
This is a visible yard here.
And so there's also some industry in this town at this end?
And we're working, this town is not complete. And these buildings are here just for representational purposes. But we're working on a flour mill, a brewery. I've tried to recreate an express transfer company. In the back behind you is a building that actually existed in St. Catharines called the Canada Haircloth Building. It's now been taken over by Brock University to be a performing arts center. And the buildings in the background are representative of buildings that are in St. Catharines right now along St. Paul Street.
So when you're looking at your main line moving through this feature, and it's quite interesting because it looks quite industrial, it kind of sneaks off and goes into hiding. Is that what happens?
Exactly.
And pops out.
It pops out. It goes around behind Hamilton and then pops out here back into Grimsby.
Well, that's very clever. Now, you were using the term "we" when you're talking about building the railroad. Is there folks in the local community that are part of?
It's basically just me, but I had a lot of assistance from my wife, Christiane, who did a lot of the scenic work. She, in fact, built the vineyard that we're going to see later, and orchard. And she's helped try to fill in all the blank spots. There's still a couple areas of pink foam, but not much now.
This is something that's happening more and more in the hobby now. I'm finding that husbands and wives are getting together and enjoying it together. It's kind of nice, isn't it, to be able to work towards some goals in the hobby.
during the regular season, Christian would come out on Sundays and give me a Sunday afternoon out here of her time and patience.
Yes.
And as we got closer to this event, she came out on Wednesday afternoons to give me a little more help.
Wonderful. That's great. So, okay, we're going to move on now. We're leaving the town of Meritan, and then we're moving to what's our next spot?
Our next stop geographically would be on the other side of this divider, which would be Vineland and Jordan.
Okay, so you have a lift-out bridge system for access here?
I do. Just the lower part.
Yeah.
The top part's permanent.
So right now we're on the lower part coming out of Meritan, and we're coming around another curve, and here you have a nice locomotive facility, transfer facility.
We'll come back to this. This will be Hamilton, but trains basically go around behind here.
All right.
And then they come up this little bit of an incline.
So you're creating operating distance by having the train kind of go to another spot in the room.
Exactly.
That's neat. So that's this particular one against the wall that you're seeing running behind the peninsula. So, and then it goes into the tunnel.
Right.
And it comes
behind the farm. And up this little bit of a grade.
Okay, so it's a scenic block in the corner, really, and the tunnel. This is a nice farm. Is that a craftsman kit structure you've built there?
It is. It's the same. It's the same farmhouse you have, actually.
Yeah.
And the same barn, I think, too.
Yes. Yeah. That's that American Model Works company or something, right?
And the builders, I think.
Yeah. And the silos?
The silos were prefab. They came like that. I think they're a Woodland Scenic product, but I'm not sure.
Wow, very, very nice. Nice scene. I like the way you did your roads and the curves. It really adds interest, draws you in. Very active farm, eh? Lots of cows and horses.
It's busy.
And a little bit of water work. Is that Envirotex you use down there?
No, that's that Woodland Scenic product.
Okay. So it's acrylic, basically. Yeah. So
it's just a single thing. It's not an epoxy. It's just this realistic water. You just pour it on, an eighth of an inch thick, and then let it set.
Okay.
There's no mixing, no.
And it dries clear.
And it dries clear.
Okay.
It's great.
So here's your representation of what you see a lot of in this country,
right? Right. So we've got the vineyard that Christian made, and this represents a crossing area in Jordan, where in fact it's called Vineland Growers. That building represents a building that actually exists there. It's similar, but not exact. The Aylmer packing plant is there, and the chimney's there, but it doesn't say Aylmer on it anymore.
Right.
And on this side of the street, this is a project that we're working on right now. We started off with another craftsman kit here on the corner to represent a barber shop and a bakery.
Yes.
This is the Dubois House kit. I think it's also from American Builders. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Don't quote me on that. Here we just got some little houses. Laser art. Is it laser? Yeah, laser art. Right. Here we just got some little buildings to fill in until we actually create a scene.
Yeah, that kind of generates that enthusiasm about what you want to do.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a bit of a junction right here, okay? Right. So the tracks have come up here and it's coming into these switch points.
Right.
Now within this, then you've got your industries up here, but this particular track here, the second one in, is that part of a reverse loop that goes around?
Yeah.
So basically it allows a complete circle in the island and return back the same way, and or go round and round.
Exactly.
That's pretty neat.
So this track doesn't actually get used very much in the, when you're running.
No.
But it's there.
But it's an added feature. I guess it also gives you a place to pull your train in if you want to do local switching. And
exactly. When you're going to spot some cars in a Aylmer or pick up some box cars down here, you need a place for the train.
That's nice. And you got some facing and trailing switches and a runaround track.
Right, there is a runaround.
So you got to entertain yourself right here for the whole day. You got to like that. Perfect. What do you do for your roads? How do you make your roads, these paved roads here?
Okay, these ones here were made with 1/8-inch plastic.
Yes, styrene. Yeah.
Like styrene. These ones here were, I experimented with this. I'm not totally happy with it, but it was foam board.
Yeah.
And then I painted it with Woodland Scenic's asphalt.
Right. Yeah, and if you wanted to experiment with the color, you could just mix your own acrylics with black and tan. And
in fact, I put a little white in the tone. I find it a little too black right over the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're coming into Grimsby.
Okay.
And this is a little modeler's license here. I've got Murchie's Variety, which is named after my next door neighbor.
Okay.
And Bobby's Fish and Chips, which is named after him as well. So.
Okay.
Niagara Packers existed. The building didn't look exactly like that, but it did exist. The co-op building this is a craftsman kit.
Yeah, it's a Bar Mills kit, isn't it?
Yep. And it kind of existed over here, but I had to put it on that side of the track just for room. But it should be here.
Yes, understood.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not going to work out to put the prototype where you want it.
So this is Ontario Street in Grimsby.
Okay, let me just get on the other side of your main post here.
Sure.
Okay, that's a great looking station.
I said Dave Primo scratch built that.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And we had several debates over what color it should be, and the consensus is in that era it was great.
Yeah, this Dave Primo guy, I think he's in the room. Dave, you got any comments about this station and some of the things that you found was fun to do when you built the station?
Biggest fun was building the church, and the second biggest fun was getting annoyed when a company brought out a kit that's much better than that. Battleship Grey seemed to be the color because John and I spent an awful lot of time emailing back and forth on that.
Right.
Unfortunately, it became a pizzeria or a restaurant and it burned down.
Yeah.
So
oh gosh.
In the early 90s.
John made it styrene.
Is that right?
In the early 90s it burned to the ground.
Yeah. The signals are very nice. I really like the size ratio in terms of what I've seen on the kit, and that looks a little more delicate.
Right.
Very nice.
The signals are built out of they're fixed British signal components or something.
Yeah.
Brass tubing and junk like that. Yeah, I put that together.
Wow, it looks really great.
Behind it is the original Grand Trunk Station.
Okay.
And that station originally sat where the Victorian Grimsby Station is now.
Yeah. So it's more like a freight house now, really, right?
It became a freight house, and for a while it became, in this era, it was a fruit transfer station.
Mm-hmm.
The building still exists here in Grimsby.
Right.
And it's a pottery shop now.
Okay. Yeah.
But it sits where it is, and that track came down in front of it as it is there.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice building there with the lighting on the wall and the lumber.
That's a plastic Walters kit.
Yes.
And I kitbashed it so it would fit in to the scene better. So I basically split it in half.
Yeah. Is that Waltons?
That's a Walters kit.
Yeah, but the name of the kit was it the Waltons lumber?
Waltons lumber, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
because they show you how you can either build it as a four-sided building or build it as a flat.
Yeah. Inside it is a very recent acquisition.
Yes.
The famous Dave Primo again.
Yeah.
This is a craftsman kit made by
South River Model Works. It was part of a bigger kit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, South River is kind of nice. Their kits usually have 2 or 3 buildings.
So the Merritt Brothers Basket Manufacturers was a local Grimsby company, and they sat in approximately that position right beside the Canada Wood Products.
Now, there's a huge amount of details around that building, and I'm really impressed with the baskets. That looks like something that somebody would have spent a lot of time doing, because I've never seen them as a casting you can buy.
Those were all handmade by David Primo.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, how did you make those, Dave?
Paper that looks like thin wood.
Yeah.
Wrapped around doweling.
Yeah.
Built into stacks. Cut out for the cutoff tool and stacked are your 2 and 3 bushel baskets.
Yeah.
The smaller 2-quart baskets, the hand baskets that you normally would buy in a store.
Yeah.
Were made out of pieces of 1/8 by 1/8 basswood,
right,
which was then sanded and shaped to look like baskets inverted into one another, and then some of them were left right side up, and reamed out with a Dremel tool with a very small burr on the end of it to give the basket look inside, and then small handles were placed over them.
Yeah.
Those buildings had an unfortunate habit of burning down.
Yes.
And this one did burn down in 1950 sometime, I guess, the real Merit Brothers building.
So there is a prototype of where this is located in St. Johnsbury. Is that where it's located?
This came from the kit that South River Model Works sold as the OV Hooker kit.
Yeah.
And the building that they produced in the OV Hooker kit was in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. But they added this building in as an additional building you could construct at your pleasure and leisure.
Yeah.
There's no room in my layout, so I asked John, "Can you use this building?" And he said, "Yeah, sure I can." And then emailing back and forth, we figured it should be a basket factory, and Merit Brothers was the outcome. John put together the signs, and I just glued them on the side, so he did the hard work there.
So maybe at the next modeling corner, we could have you come out and do some basket weaving.
Yeah, right.
I'll be a basket case by then.
Yeah, there you go.
Would you like a case of baskets? You will note the red ensign from 1958-59 flying on the mast.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Very, very nice. Okay, let's move on to the next part.
When the train comes out of Grimsby,
oh yes,
it comes around behind where this train is, in fact.
All right, so now we're looking at a line that's behind your initial staging where we were at.
So he'll go around and he'll lose some altitude.
Yeah. And that's very similar to the kind of thing that Mike Hamer did on his layout, where he had that around the room staging. Right. So now you're using the back wall and hidden track to create more distance on your railroad.
Right.
And to set up nicely for your next town. Yeah, nice idea.
So he'll go around behind, and then he'll go around behind all of that.
So he's going behind the whole layout on the upper level?
He'll come down to the lower level.
Okay, he's on the lower level.
And then he comes out here eventually, where I've got a temporary track, but I'm not using it today because it's just a pain to get around. But he'll come out here, cross over, and come into Meritan.
So here's the other side over here.
So here's the other side.
And now he's coming back into Meritan. So this is a staging area for both ends of the line.
Right.
That's neat. Yeah, double-ended staging.
So, but a train can run out of Meritan to Hamilton, or a train can run out of Hamilton to Meritan.
Yeah.
There you go. And then we park them up here.
So have you got a train that's ready to up and run, and maybe I can get some clips in the scenery of the trains going through? Coming out from behind the backdrop, going those long distances between towns. And onto the peninsula. Things I did notice, we were running on the lower level. You also have an upper level here where you store stuff, and so what's happening with that other level?
Well, what I tried to do is keep the lower level primarily for the CN main line that comes through Grimsby.
Right.
And on the upper level, I was trying to introduce a little bit of TH&B on top of the escarpment.
Right.
So that's basically what this upper level is reserved for. But
Okay.
it also brings down the trains from the storage track.
Nice. Yeah, so it is a double level layout, and it adds another feature within the space you have. Very nice. This is a nice looking steam locomotive here, eh? That's a TH&B.
That's the new Broadway Limited one.
Yeah.
And complete with smoke.
Yeah, I gotta ask you, does the smoke smell?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I don't. That's why I don't use it.
Yeah, I don't like that too. I mean, people with allergies and things like that, it's giving headaches.
The train runs around a couple times. It's like it really is quite odoriferous in the room.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So for manufacturers out there, if you want to come up with magic for your smoke, come with the one that comes unscented.
That's a QSI decoder in that engine. It ramps up quite nicely, doesn't it?
It sure does.
I said, when you get opposite the public school, after turning right off the exit, stop, you're there.
The crossbuck.
And you get the crossbuck.
So if you're running an ops session, how many people can you accommodate if you wanted to run a full session?
Right now I've only got 2 controllers. So.
Yeah. But in terms of your long-term planning, could you see a number of people operating here?
I think 4 would be a comfortable number here.
Yeah.
Now ours aren't quite as wide as the chicken coop. We have the facility for nighttime lighting.
Yes. Well, that's nice. You've done a great job of lighting all your buildings.
Most of the buildings are lit.
Yeah. I'll have to get inside the layout a little closer on your lighting. I'd like to see that. So I see a lot of this is done with LED lights, eh?
Is that?
What do you use lighting strips for your LEDs in the larger buildings?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
They just cut either 3 or 6 LEDs.
Yeah.
This one has a little dab of translucent yellow paint on it to give it
the warm look. Yeah. I love the reflections out of the windows. Look at that. You're getting artsy here. So there we go, we have a tour. And what's the layout called, the name of it again?
The Grimsby Sub.
Grimsby Sub. Well, thank you very much, John, for allowing me to come in and have a chat with you and
Great.
run around your layout. There's a lot of intricate detail and work that's been put in. You should be very proud of it.
We're not done yet, but we're a long way along from where we were a couple years ago, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it sure is one of those fun things when you get a chance to come down to different parts of the country. We were down here at the Anna Marie Convention for the Niagara region, and it's the first time I've been down here. And it's great to come by and see some new railroads.
Great. Nice having you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're a great host.